In a time long forgotten by most, there was a man known only as the Wanderer. He was a figure who moved through the world like a shadow, unbound by place or time. To those who caught glimpses of him, he seemed neither young nor old, but eternal, as though he carried with him the weight of countless lifetimes. His face was marked not by age, but by an unspoken sorrow, a longing so deep it seemed to echo in the very air around him. One evening, as the sun dipped low and bathed the land in golden light, the Wanderer came upon a quiet river framed by bare trees. The mist clung to the water's surface, as though reluctant to let the day slip away. He stopped and stood at the river's edge, his shadow stretching long across the ground. Something in the stillness of the scene called to him, and for the first time in many years, he sat down to rest. The river shimmered like glass, reflecting the sky and trees so perfectly that it seemed to hold another world within it. The Wanderer gazed into its depths, and as he did, memories began to rise unbidden, like leaves floating to the surface. Among these memories, one stood out, a woman with a smile that could rival the sunrise. She had once walked beside him, her laughter filling the spaces where his silence had once dwelled. She had loved him, not despite his sorrow, but because of it, seeing in his quiet heart a depth that others could not. But as all things must, their time together had come to an end. She had chosen a path he could not follow, and he, true to his nature, had let her go. Now, as he sat by the river, he felt her presence as if she were beside him once more. The light of the setting sun danced upon the water, and he could almost hear her voice in the rustling of the bare branches above. For the first time in years, a single tear slipped down his cheek, falling silently into the river. The water rippled, distorting the reflection of the sky as though acknowledging his grief. As the dusk deepened, the Wanderer reached into the folds of his cloak and drew out a small token, a faded ribbon she had once tied around his wrist, long ago. He held it for a moment, his fingers tracing its frayed edges before letting it fall into the river. The ribbon floated for a moment, then disappeared beneath the surface, carried away by the gentle current. He sat there until the stars began to appear, their light reflected in the river like tiny flames, and though his heart still ached, he felt lighter, as though a part of his burden had been released into the water. The river had not taken his grief away, but it had shared it, cradling his sorrow in its quiet embrace.